after the huge response towards the last video and the many requests for a follow-up to that. I'm back again with more original Switch games that have been boosted in some way, shape, or form on the Switch 2. I've tested a lot more games, and these following games are now running at 60 FPS, or are doing so with more consistency, and many of these also have some other performance improvements too. Anyway, I got a lot to talk about, so let's just dive right into things. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, had a very good port with the original Switch, with the aim for it being 60 FPS, but on the new Switch 2, it hits that target with increased consistency all around. In fact, I think it's pretty much locked at 60 FPS now, whether it be during the side-scrolling adventure segments or during the top-down strategy segments when you're facing off against the kaijus. It's excellent stuff here. The game is a gorgeous-looking game on Switch 2.
You got a part-time job?
Look, you want to make this an interrogation, I'm getting off.
Aw.
Take that! I can do this. Here goes. They felt that. Oh, I guess that did it.
Our first indie game on the list, the adventure game Button City, gets locked to 60 FPS on the new system. Yeah, it could have a few hiccups at times on the old system, especially when you're loading from area to area, but there's no issues of any sort like that on the new system. This is a cute game too, love the arcade vibes, and it's a good one for the younger crowd if you're looking for such games for the family. Okay, this next one is one truly awesome game. The excellent Dead Cells was always meant to hit 60 FPS on the original Switch system, but it could have a few hiccups at times. Here on the new Switch 2, it pretty much nails 60 FPS all the time, no matter what happens on screen. It is an excellent way to play the game now. I highly recommend you check this one out. Some users were reporting in the last video's comments that Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze had a few frame rate issues on the Wii U and the Switch. I'll be honest, I never encountered anything like that when I played the game before. I thought the game was pretty much locked at 60 FPS. If for some reason you did encounter some issues in the past, well, you'll never experience any of those problems here on the new system. It's 60 FPS locked for sure. It looks good, the performance is rock solid, without any hiccups and all of that. Now the big boost I have experienced is the fact that load times have been reduced a bit, making it faster to enter and exit levels now. That's always a good thing. Still though, I'll gladly take a bump in resolution if Nintendo wants to update the game. It would be a nice thing if they do. The Doom 3 remastered port was always intended to hit 60 FPS, and it did so without any hiccups on the other platforms. Sadly, that wasn't the case on the original Switch. At times when it got hectic, you would lose a few frames here and there. Now that might not seem like that's all that bad, or that big of a deal, but with a game that's already going to jerk you around a bit when you get hit and smacked around and such, well, you don't need the game to pile it on with any frame rate drops. Here when Doom 3 is played on the Switch 2, it's locked at 60 FPS, just like it should have been originally. Indie game Figment 2 looks so much better on the new system. The performance and frame rate has been improved, and the boost is very much welcomed here. It's a much smoother experience. Sadly though, the first game does not get a similar boost, and that one's going to need an update to boost it from 30 FPS.
Way too early! Run, Dusty! Look! Who's that?
Huh? That's our nightmare.
And the reason the mind is stuck.
Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition I thought was already pretty good on the Switch 1, but I think the game looks just a little bit better here when it's played on Switch 2. It's 60 FPS of course, and it hits it here with improved consistency, and it seems to have smoother gameplay, at least in my view. Oh, and the loading times have been reduced. It's not a massive improvement overall, but it is an improvement nevertheless. In the multiplayer co-op game, Keywe gets boosted to 60 FPS as well on the new system, and it looks far better for it. On the original Switch, it was capped at 30, and sometimes it couldn't even hit that. The boost here makes the multiplayer game a lot more playable now. Just like Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom got a free upgrade on Switch 2. And oh my, it's a pleasure to finally see this at a locked 60 FPS. This game has come a long way from its frame rate and performance issues that it had at launch on the original Switch. This game is so much better now, and with the performance boost it gets, I think the game looks gorgeous now. I highly recommend, if you got the new system, to check this one out. It's fantastic to play now. Okay, so Mario and Sonic in Olympic Games is a weird one. Depending on the situation, the game will cap itself at 30 FPS, like during intros, cutscenes, and replays. But during actual gameplay, the target is 60 FPS, and when it's aiming for that, it pretty much hits it all the time now on Switch 2 without any hiccups. The additional boost here is the load times, which have been cut down a bit from where it was on the original system, so getting into games and matches is a lot more faster now.
Woohoo!
great!
The apocalyptic tank JRPG Metal Max Xeno Reborn couldn't hit 60 FPS before on the original Switch. Heck, I don't even know if it could hit 30 FPS. But here on Switch 2, the frame rate can now hit 60. That's both when you're in the tanks and out and about on foot. Finally, our dog with the bazooka strapped to his back can move around and cause destruction a lot more smoothly now. Good for him, good for us, bad for the bad guys. My Hero One's Justice was a bit of a poor port on the original Switch system. For one, its frame rate was kinda all over the place at times, dropping frames when the action got heavy, which for this game was quite often. Secondly, loading times for this was incredibly long. It would take forever to get into a battle at times. Here on Switch 2, the game gets boosted, and gameplay maintains 60 FPS more often than not now, and those horrible load times have been cut down quite a lot from where they were. The game is far better to play now. From what I'm told, the sequel, My Hero One's Justice 2, gets a similar boost. Racing game, New Star GP, got a huge performance boost. On the default setting and performance options, the game is now locked at 60 FPS on Switch 2. Its performance is buttery smooth, and there's no dips from what I can tell. In addition, in handheld play, when selecting the higher frame rate option, it'll feel like it's operating at higher than 60 FPS. Some users are reporting it feels closer to 90 FPS with VRR in handheld play. Whatever it might be, what I can safely say is that without a doubt, this port is significantly improved now on Switch 2, and it's become one of the standout boosted games for the system. That's a huge win for this popular indie racing game. No More Heroes 3 is one game where, depending on the situation, the target for the game will either be 30 FPS or 60 FPS. During battles, it's 60 FPS, and it looks so clean. It really holds up well on the Switch 2 system versus the original, and it looks great. In the overworld, or just traveling around, the game operates at 30 FPS, and it cannot go any higher than that. But at the very least, it does hit it way more often than it did before. It used to be a sore spot on the original system, but on the new Switch 2, that aspect gets improved a bit. Still though, I wish it was 60 FPS all around. It would have been amazing for this game.
Yeah, about that destiny. I'll put an end to that for you!
Sounds good.
Okay, wanna get started?
Hey!
Strawberry!
Right on.
There!
I did mention it in the last video when I talked about Resident Evil 5 and 6, but it's worth actually showing it off this time that Resident Evil Revelations got a huge frame rate boost. Funny enough, even though this was originally a Nintendo exclusive back in the day for a short amount of time, this is actually the first time it's ever been playable in 60 FPS on a Nintendo console. That's crazy when you think about it.
I might be able to shoot it off.
It moved!
Careful, you two. I don't know what the virus is here. I kinda figured that. Don't worry, we're on it. After Raccoon City, this must be a cakewalk.
Of course, that means its sequel, Resident Evil Revelations 2, also gets boosted to 60 FPS. It's a game that looks very smooth and clean now. Certain cutscenes are locked to 30 frames per second, but when you get to actually playing the game, it's pretty much locked at 60. An indie game released way back in 2017, Robonauts is now playable at 60 FPS on Switch 2. Shooters or action games thrive at their best at higher frame rates, so it's nice to see this game got a boost. This one is a fun one, and a cheap game to get too. Sid Meier's Civilization 6 gets a big performance boost when it's played on Switch 2. It generally loads faster, the frame rate is more consistent at higher frames, and the actions and turns are able to happen a lot faster now, at least from where I could tell from before. This is now a great console port and a good version of the game to take on the go too.
いかがある? 我は日本国の武士道の信仰者、北条時宗。
Adventure game Silence can now run at 60 FPS during its gameplay sections. It really makes those visuals pop, and I think the game looks so much clearer when played in docked mode on Switch 2 now than where it was on the original Switch.
Jeez, what was that? Whew. Hey,
Why did you take off that fast?
What took you so long?
Where's Rini?
We'll meet her after I blow up this bridge.
After you what? Do you have a death wish? Did you kill Rini?
Nonsense! I'm Kyra, leader of the rebels. I'm not a murderer.
All right.
And I won't leave before this bridge is destroyed. Am I clear?
Crystal clear. Why are you telling me this anyway?
Because you'll help me do it. Damn, the lights are out.
And what does that mean?
The Seekers are on the way. Hold this for a second.
Why? What is that?
Just keep pressing it down.
The very weird fighting game SNK Heroines Tag Team Fury can now run at 60 FPS when the game is played on the new Switch 2. Its performance and load times were a mess on the old system, but now things have been pretty much smoothed over. It's already made it around the internets, but in case you haven't heard, the general consensus is that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate gets a nice boost on Switch 2, mainly concerning its load times. The load times have been cut down by a wide margin. When you move around in Switch menus, it's fast. Selecting costumes and characters is pretty much instantaneous now too. And more importantly, when you load into battles, it's so much faster now, taking just a couple of seconds when you do start a match. It's a snappier experience all around thanks to the load times being reduced. Of course, the game does look great at 60 FPS, and in local play, it's pretty much locked at 60. The game is a very good experience on Switch 2. Theatrhythm, Final Fantasy Final Bar Line, could of course play at 60 FPS on the original Switch, but here on Switch 2, it hits that target much more consistently now. It looks better visually as a result. In addition to that, its loading times have been reduced too. It seems faster to get around the menus, as well as getting into playing the songs. The goal for Vampire Survivors was always to be 60 FPS on the original Switch, but during really chaotic moments, like towards the end of a run, when hundreds of enemies and projectiles are spawning every second, or during gold fevers, or even during certain secret events, the game would just struggle with its frame rate and performance. That isn't the case here when the game is played on the Switch 2. It's a buttery smooth experience, no matter how bonkers the game seems to get. Now at times, Yoshi's Crafted World would operate at 30 FPS during certain cutscenes or events, or when you're on the map screen, and that's mainly done for effect. But when it comes to the actual in-game levels, the game aims to play at 60 FPS. On Switch 2 though, when it can operate at 60 FPS, it'll be locked to that pretty much without any hiccups. That said, I'd love to see this game get a resolution boost. It most certainly needs one. And there you go, more Switch games now running at 60 FPS, or just doing better now at that frame rate. Again, if you haven't done so before, make sure to check out the previous video on original Switch games getting 60 FPS boosts for the Switch 2. There's a lot of awesome games in that one, over 40 titles included. If you found any boosts that I missed or need to know about, then feel free to post them down below in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you do not miss out on any future videos from the channel. But for now, that is it for me today. As always, thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you very soon on the next video.